It's
Action.
Action.
I thought you were using your... Oh, that's right. You didn't. Your battery doesn't work. I thought you were going to use that remote so you didn't have to...
Nope, no
start
remote.
it and then run over.
It's all manual from here. I will be going back and forth forever. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fleeting Thoughts podcast / video podcast.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us this beautiful Sunday evening.
It's true. It's bright and sunny outside.
Yeah, it is very nice. I'm excited. I think the first day that it's going to start raining again is my day off.
Lucky you.
Figures. I have been
to stay inside, I guess, and be lazy. It's like, I can't go outside because it's raining.
Yeah, I'll have to. I have to get out at least once. I can't just sit in my dark apartment all day anymore. I used to do that plenty, but I'm going to do that tonight. I'm just going to chill out after the podcast and play Dark Souls 2 until my brain explodes. And
stop in frustration.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
That's what happened to me yesterday. I'd played it for like 2 or 3 hours, which I was like already kind of done after I beat the boss. I was like, well, I'll play a little bit more just to see what to do next. Mm-hmm. And then this dude kept invading my game and killing me, and I was like, never mind, I'm done. I don't want to play it right now.
Oh, was it like an NPC invader?
Yeah, he invades every time you go to this particular spot, and I kept getting him down to like half or quarter health. Mm-hmm. And then
Is the guy with the big great sword, the big sword?
No, he has like a spell where he creates a sword and he swings it once, and it'll just cut through your shield and everything. And
okay. Yeah,
I remember rest area.
I remember fighting that guy.
He's not that tough, really. It's just like he kept getting me with his stupid spells.
Yeah, you just gotta have some defense. Yeah, I was playing that game and I realized that it is one of the nerdiest things that you could possibly do.
It's true
because it's so D&D style. It's essentially like D&D in a video game, and I can you make fun of people for certain things, and then you realize that you are a huge freaking nerd because you know way more than you need to know about the maps and the weapons and the requirements, and you're just like, God, this is not accomplishing anything real in my life.
No. I think that's true for like a lot of stuff. I mean, typically the people who used to make fun of the nerdy geeky guys for playing D&D were like the jocks, and those guys are like crazy nerdy about football. They know all these statistics and
for sure
pointless information.
Yeah.
So I don't know, to each their own. I mean, everybody's got that dumb, pointless, nerdy thing that they fucking love and they know way more about than they should.
Sure.
But for whatever reason, I think it's just because people who played D&D were typically smaller and weaker, so they were just targets. The bigger bully guys who were fanatics for sports.
Yeah, and good luck making fun of a jock in high school for being into sports. They'll just pound you. Yeah, dummy.
And like sports are typically looked positively on as far as compared
in schools,
to video games and stuff. Yeah.
Well,
because it's like a physically active thing that people are doing. And
I don't think anyone gives a shit about people's health in school. I think it's because they make money from sports programs.
It's true.
So they're gonna incentivize people. Then the school can get popularity and notoriety if their sports team does well. Mm-hmm. So that's why they put all that effort into promoting student athletes and things
instead of just how intelligent people are. Our school got such and such score on all of our tests.
Yeah.
What'd you get? Not as much as us. You suck.
Yeah, but our football team is awesome. These guys are all going to be professional football players, so we're taking care of those kids. So, but yeah, it's Dark Souls 2 is a lot of fun, and Bloodborne and all that RPG madness.
Mm-hmm. And The Witcher 3 comes up.
I know.
Like less than a month. I'm just like, fuck, man. I have too much. It's getting to the point where my games are just piling up faster than I can even play them. I just last 2 weeks I've had zero free time. I didn't play hardly anything, and I'll have a little bit more free time now that I'm not driving 2.5 hours every day, but still, I have other commitments in life other than just playing video games. So
I know, isn't it weird when you feel bad because you're not playing your games? But if you're not playing a video game, I hope you're doing something productive.
Probably.
I mean, not everybody is, but it's, I try to be.
So many awesome ones coming out. I want to play them and have fun with them, but I just don't have time. It's just going to get worse.
And then they just announced the frickin' Star Wars Battlefront that everyone's going ape shit fucking bonkers about. And, I'm trying to I don't know, understand what all the hype is about. You know, like what's the game going to really be about, and what kind of style
Did
is
you ever
it?
play the older Battlefronts?
I did. They're just third-person action shooters, you know, which were well done. I think the new one is made by DICE, and they do first-person. I think it's going to be first-person.
They said that it's going to be first and third.
Like first or third. That makes sense. And then I think you're going to drive all the vehicles. You're going to do tons of vehicle stuff. There'll be some lightsaber, laser stuff.
Well, if it plays like the older ones, you could like at a certain points, teams could call in like a hero character, which was like the overpowered, like a Jedi would drop in, and one of the people would get to play as him.
Oh, that's cool.
They were like an overpowered character that could like help turn the tide.
That'd make perfect sense if they do a multiplayer, because Battlefield has a character like that. They don't come into the game randomly or whatever, but they have an extra character that does like an Overwatch kind of a thing, that they can do intel and bombing runs, but they're not on the field, so they could do just utilize that type of system and have a specialty character. If you can't play as a Jedi, what's the fucking point of being in a Star Wars game? Then it's just a shooter with lasers. Instead of bullets.
People are gonna fucking be all over it though, because those Battlefront games are crazy. I played them quite a bit with like friends. We would split screen them, and they were fun. But it was never like a franchise that I was like crazy about. But I'll probably play the new one because everybody's gonna fucking get it and play it online, and then I'm gonna get sucked into it so I can be part of the group.
Oh yeah, I'll probably get it. It looks like it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's all multiplayer. There's not a single player campaign that they've.
Wow.
Yeah, they said that there's no single player. So curious how that'll go. It'll just be all online.
So the best thing that Star Wars has going for it, which is the story, is not part of the game. So we'll see how that goes. And it's not out till November, so we'll probably get some new info on that. I don't know.
Well, Star Wars in general has just been fucking crazy, because they had the Star Wars celebration over the last week where they showed off. Did you watch the new Force Awakens trailer?
Yeah.
They just had a new trailer. Oh man, that got me so pumped. This is the sequel I've been waiting for since I was fucking 4 years old. Like,
oh yeah.
After watching the original trilogy, I always was like, what happens next? Like, Return of the Jedi is over, and on this high note, all these people are celebrating. Like, what happens next? The question will finally get answered. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit from some people who have. I just wrote Dark Wars because we were trying to write down what we've been talking about. Dark Souls, being a nerd. I heard from somebody who read the books. Some books, I don't know, some fucking version of them.
I read one trilogy of books written by Timothy Zahn called the Thrawn trilogy.
That's what they were
like
talking
the
about.
Best ones, and they take place like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And like George Lucas considered them canon. Like he was like, yeah, this is official story.
He didn't write them.
No.
Okay.
Timothy Zahn's the guy who wrote them. He's the name of the author. And I own them, and they're great books.
Yeah.
Like they flow perfectly with the movies.
Yeah.
It's like a sensible next step for the story. So
that's what I've heard. I've heard that movie might be based on that. And in that case, some people go bad that you wouldn't expect, and there's like kids and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, because I think that they'll try to do their own spin on it. Because all those books now, all the expanded universe stuff, is not official canon anymore. It's only gonna be like what Disney makes, so like the movies, and then they have like a Star Wars Rebels TV show. It's like a kids cartoon that's going on right now. That's part of like the official canon.
Yeah. And Disney owns Star Wars, so they're going to do.
I think they're just kind of resetting the whole thing, so they could just do their own story. Because there's so many expanded universe books that like all these dozens of authors have written over the years with all these different stories, and so I think that instead of just trying to continue on with all that, they're like, no, we'll just restart over with the new movies and we'll create our own like official storyline.
Well, they need to wash away the sins of 1, 2, and 3.
It's true.
And start a new generation of people who will get really into Star Wars. And
I think that the new one's going to be fucking awesome. Like, I mean, just from like the couple of teaser trailers, which is not much to go on. It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But it has like that feeling of the older Star Wars movies, and I think it helps because the older cast is back.
Absolutely.
But and there's a lot more practical effects and things like that. It just feels like it's the next Star Wars movie, and it feels like it belongs right along with the like the prequel trilogy was always like, it was more of like kind of kid friendly, except for the third one. That's when like all the dark shit happens, when he
murders the children.
When he starts murdering kids, and which is the best one out of the prequel trilogy. It's the only one that I actually like.
It's the only one that had any like real drama in it, like, or whatever. I don't know.
But the prequel trilogy was always so kind of cartoony and flashy, and it just didn't have like the same
Heart.
Yeah, Heart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The original trilogy.
There was no reason to care about any of the characters. I think.
The dialogue was like I don't know. George Lucas is not particularly good at writing dialogue, and he wrote and directed all three of those.
Yeah,
and the character line delivery. I actually literally just watched all 6 Star Wars movies in the last 2 days. Like with all the Star Wars celebration and stuff, my wife was like, "We got to watch the Star Wars movies." Yeah. So we watched the original trilogy yesterday, and then when I left to come do the podcast, she had just started episode 3.
Oh wow!
And I watched episode 1 and 2 today, and they're just the dialogue is the worst part. There's like parts of them that are enjoyable, but then it's just not.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's easy to fuck with those movies because they're pretty terrible.
I think they're the movies that you want to like so much because they're part of like this big franchise that you love, and so you're like trying to find all the diamonds in the rough, but it's just there's a lot of rough.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I know you are. I enjoy them. I've enjoyed them since I'm little, but I never like went crazy and wanted to be a Jedi and shit. But
that was my whole childhood.
Yeah, right. Like I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, so that was just what I wanted to do. But the new one looks really good. Well, God damn, I forgot what I was going to say. I was just going to say, wouldn't it be funny if, like the stuff from the trailer was only like all the good stuff, and the rest was just like the worst quality shit ever. Like it's just essentially those are the only clips that they like used an HD camera for, and then the rest of it is just like looks like a YouTube home video, and it's just like really terrible acting, and they just ruin the entire thing.
I think that if the new one like bombs or is really terrible for some reason, it might like kind of be the nail in the coffin. I don't know.
It'll give like you'll have to wait like 5 years before another group takes it on. I don't think it will.
I don't think it will. I think it's going to be an amazing movie. Like it's going to be tough to go into it without.
The problem, that's the problem. Is the more hype, the worse. Even if it's amazing, it probably won't be amazing enough in your head. So like the game, they're already starting the hype train now, and the hype train is going to fucking chug along until it comes out, and people are going to be like, "This, I thought this train was going 99 miles an hour, and it's only going like 55.
It's pretty good.
It's okay." Yeah.
And that's the problem with hype. It's a dangerous thing. Like, because you need to get people excited for it so that they want to like put money towards your products, but at the same time, you gotta ride the line.
Well, the only thing you want who cares how people receive it as long as they buy it. You just need that hype train to make it up until that first day of release, and as everyone's just gonna fucking buy the shit out of it.
Yeah, once they have your money, they don't care anymore.
And then they've made their money back. Then they can make adjustments, fix things, work on sequels and stuff. And then if it's a good product, it'll continue to sell, but they need to make that money immediately. They need to get that shit going. So they need you to buy it right away. Just like movies, the first weekend is the most important. They make the most money on that first weekend box office. And if there isn't advertising, you're not going to go see that movie right away. But if it's really good, like Birdman, which got very little advertising, but
word of mouth.
Word of mouth. It doesn't get nearly the total sales, but it does add up over time and in later sales. So
I'm scared to know how long I'm going to stand in line to watch this new Star Wars movie because I'm going to want to see it. Like, I'm not with everybody else right away. But
I probably will want to. But
I know. I don't think there's anything in the world that I would be one of those people who like pitches a tent and waits in line for like fucking a day or two.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, I'll just wait a couple of days and. I've never done it. The longest I've ever waited for something was maybe like 4 or 5 hours, or like a midnight launch for a game, which I hated it the whole time and have never done it since.
There's no reason.
Boring.
There's no reason to wait.
All you do is you get like a 30-minute head start on everybody else or something.
It's usually not even that. It's just like a better pick of your seat in the theater. I waited for 13 hours for the last Harry Potter movie, I think,
really?
Or the one before that. And it was fun because I was doing it on purpose to just spend the day to do it. I wore the Harry Potter tie that I think my girlfriend at the time, like we both were wearing the Harry Potter stuff, and I was a huge fan. Like I cried when I finished reading the books, and I loved all the movies, and so I was like, fuck it. And I worked at that theater, so I could have literally went 5 minutes before it came out. I could have already had my tickets, went 5 minutes before and been like, hey, I'm going to go into the theater that I work in. Like, I was a manager. I could have done whatever I wanted, but I decided to do it once, in my life. And it was kind of lame.
Just to be just for the experience of
Yeah.
like hanging out with all these people who are passionate
Yeah.
about the same thing you are.
That's what it
and
was.
To do conversations and stuff with them.
Yeah, and seeing all the fun that people are having and waiting about it, it's kind of like a celebration of the whole thing.
But at the same time, that is 13 fucking hours.
I think it was 13 hours. It was like all day. Like we were there, like one of the first people to line up for that movie that day. But I wanted to show that I was a big fan, and I guess I did. I would never do that again. I can't imagine it. I just don't. I mean, maybe if Game of Thrones decided to do a marathon where you stayed up for like 2 weeks and stayed in the theater, like it was at a theater, and you could just live there for a week, and they would just play the whole series, I might do that. But I don't think that'll happen.
I know
That'd
we're
be
gonna
weird.
do the because the Age of Ultron's coming up in a couple
that's
weeks,
like-
and
yeah,
they're
soon.
doing like a double feature at Cinemark. So
Yeah.
Vanessa and I are gonna hit that up because she wants to go watch the first one and then immediately, like we did with Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
where they did that double
Yeah, that'd be fun.
play.
Let me know. I
So,
might go with that.
yeah.
That Ex Machina game movie, whatever. Ex Machina, that is out, but it's not in our theater.
Yeah, they said that
It's
it
a
was
limited release.
Yeah, it was limited release on the 10th. They said the 24th is supposed to be a nationwide release. So I'm hoping,
Oh, good.
next week it will be, or actually that would be this Friday.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it does come to one of our theaters because I really want to see it. And I was so bummed when I saw like on the 10th when it first came out and it wasn't in any of the theaters around here.
Yeah.
But they said it was supposed to have a nationwide release on the 24th, so hopefully they'll have it
Yeah.
this week because I really want to go see that. And then next week is Avengers.
Oh, is that
Week.
next
Yeah,
week?
it's like May 1st, the one that comes out.
Oh,
It's
wow.
sneaking up because I've been so caught up in the Star Wars hype for the last week. Like that's all I've cared about.
Yeah.
Even the new Batman vs Superman trailer like came out, and I'm like,
Oh, I
I don't care about.
Oh, yeah,
that
I did
that
watch
much.
that. I watched that, and I just don't care nearly as much about
I
don't-
know
don't
the
care
Star
about
Wars
that
trailer was
at
so
all.
much because they kind of the Star Wars trailer came out, and then that same day somebody
Yeah.
had leaked the Batman
Yeah.
Superman one, and I think that the Star Wars one, like the hype for that one was just so
Yeah.
much greater and more exciting.
Well, it's a totally different fan base and like time, you know, like there's so much behind Star Wars compared to Batman in general. I mean, that, and a lot of people don't really like that Ben Affleck's going to be Batman, and they don't really care about Superman as much. So I don't really know.
I don't care about Superman at all, really. But I'm curious to see the movie. I guess Man of Steel, I just didn't like it that much, and so I think if I was a big fan of that movie, I'd
Yeah.
be really excited about Batman vs
Yeah.
Superman. And the trailer seems interesting. I'm just like, oh, it's just a really dark, gritty looking superhero thing again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well, they're going to
whatever.
fight, and then
Yeah.
they're going to team up at the end, and then it's going to lead into Justice League. Like we all know this story.
Oh, really?
so-
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
They're pulling a lot from the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. Like a lot of the story elements from that are being
Yeah.
used. Where it's
I
like
don't
an
know any of that
older,
shit.
more experienced Batman. So.
older, wiser, more Ben Affleck.
Well, in, like Dark Knight Returns, he's been retired for like so many, like 10, 20 years.
Oh, really?
And then he like comes out of retirement because the city's just like fucking in chaos, and he's just like, it's like in his blood. He's got to fight crime, and so he like comes out of retirement, and it's a big long thing. Anyway, but I'll watch it. I'm gonna probably be there day one to watch Batman vs Superman, but.
Yeah. I just think it's a stupid premise. Superman is a fucking god, and Batman's just a dude, so it's a stupid concept. And
really
I don't
smart
care about
dude.
any of the fucking bullshit reasons why. Superman is smart as a whip. He's a smart guy, and he doesn't really need to be smart. He has brute force and invincibility.
I know it's
behind
true.
him.
Like when they,
What is Batman
when
gonna
people
do?
bring up the Batman versus Superman fight, like I get that.
But he does this, and he has gadgets. Like,
No,
I don't
Superman
give a
could
fuck.
just punch him in the face one time, and it was just like he could punch his head off like immediately before he could even.
There's just
move
no
or
reason
react.
for them to fight. Superman is a good guy. Batman's a good guy. I get that they create some conflict for the movie. It's stupid. To me, it's just stupid. It's because of it's just like who would win in a fucking fight between this guy and this guy? Well, this guy is this guy and this guy is. It's like it's all a bunch of bullshit. But if you create a character that's invincible, other than a fucking
Kryptonite, an alien.
other than an
material.
alien material that never works out, it's just stupid. It's like what's the point? It's like that's like Batman fighting the Hulk. What is he gonna do? He can't do anything to him. He can't do anything to these invincible characters.
Well, Hulk, I think he would have a little bit more chance because
Obviously, Hulk isn't as powerful as
that's
him.
why I always
the Hulk can essentially fly. He can jump in the air.
It's true.
Like thousands, like hundreds of feet. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do?
You bound over skyscrapers pretty easily.
It's like Wolverine. At least Wolverine, is susceptible to Magneto and can, be his head. Can
Unless they have
off.
like weakness. That's why I've never liked Superman. He's so powerful.
He's boring.
That it's just boring.
It's boring.
Oh well, somebody better get some kryptonite so we can fight Superman. That's probably gonna be what they do in Batman.
Obviously, I think he makes like a kryptonite bullets or something. Kryptonite shotgun or something. But that's just kryptonite doesn't exist, so it's not valid. Not that Superman
They were
does,
probably making the character, and then they were giving him all these powers. Like, fuck, man, he's so powerful. Like, there's never gonna be a conflict.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just make something that he's weak against.
And somehow we can get a hold of this, even though his planet is like destroyed. Whatever. It's just a funny thing that people get too into, and I don't really get it.
Comic book kids.
Yeah.
They get really, really into it.
Yeah.
Which some of that stuff I kind of get into more for the fun of it, but I've never. It's all fictional stuff that honestly doesn't really matter at all.
No.
It's just fun.
It's a distraction from your bullshit, shitty life, and the fact that you, have problems or deal with real life.
It would just be really cool to be a Jedi. That's all I ever wanted.
Obviously, it would be cool to have superpowers. That's why it's so fun. Is because we don't like our fucking real lives.
I hate being a normal, boring bipedal organism.
Yeah, and then there's like hero stories going back thousands of years where the hero is, a better human. Is they're better at things, and so they accomplish
children
things.
of gods and humans.
Yeah, right. And then you get the
gods
stories
came down
of
and boinked
demigods, and gods originally were just they had a lot of human-like characteristics, and I don't know. Everybody wants to be fucking better than they are, but they aren't willing to do the work, so they'd rather pretend like it could happen to someone else, like in a superhero movie or whatever. But you can be a superhero. You can be Channing could be a superhero.
Oh, wow,
yeah, because a real superhero is somebody who, has integrity, who works hard, who treats people well. Those are rare characteristics in human beings in America. I mean, not completely, and there's a lot of people, and then you have people who stand up for what they believe in and who believe in good moral principles. You can have somebody who stands up for what they believe in and they hate women, and that's a problem. But you have someone who stands up for what they believe in and they want to protect, women's rights. Then that's a good thing. So it's like we just don't know about all the real heroes that happen in the world because everything is lies and bullshit and propaganda.
The news isn't going to cover happy things.
No.
They cover depressing, fucking terrible shit so people will read.
Yeah, totally. They don't talk about really awesome people. And if they did, they'd be talking about people who were contrary to society. The heroes are the ones who don't just do what they're told. They're people who rebel or have good arguments against why things should be a certain way, and that would be a problem if we're promoting contrarian attitudes. That doesn't work for media or the government or status quo. If everybody's making money off of bullshit, then that's what we get.
It's because money is all that matters.
It is a very big incentive, and it definitely drives.
I think it drives almost everything in the world. It's usually because somebody's making X amount of dollars.
Well, I think it's value. I don't think it's money necessarily, but it's value of something, and almost everything can be valued in money because money is a way of denoting value. It's a product of the fact that we give things value. So, it's like, if there isn't a particular incentive for somebody to do something that makes their life better, like money, then they don't want to do it. And you have to sacrifice a lot of things, including money, if you want to be a noble, good person, because they're not going to give you money to be a contrarian
just to
voice.
Be awesome.
To be awesome is to be against the power of people using force against other people, which is the whole structure of statism is power against human beings. And so you go against that and say, I'm against people using force to make me pay taxes or to pay for wars or whatever. They're like, You're a fucking horrible. What are you talking about? You unpatriotic bitch. Fuck you. You know.
That's how it goes too. If you go against it, you're suddenly unpatriotic.
But all the people who have made any progress throughout history are the people who didn't agree, who made changes, who said no, I'm not going to do it the way that everybody wants me to, or whatever. There aren't like stories about the guy who went with the program, like, oh, this great president, he just did exactly what everybody else did and everything that was expected of him. Way to go, president guy. You know what I mean?
I should write a book.
It's funny.
Just a guy who has a 9-to-5 job, and it's just 40 chapters.
That'd be so boring. Oh my god! Every minute you write it like suspenseful, but it just ends up being boring. Like, oh, and then he like opens the fridge,
wouldn't turn on, and his friend like, oh, because it wasn't plugged in.
Oh,
he just plugged it in, and everything was fine. It ended up just normal.
And then the lights flickered, but it was nothing. He really just blinked. Thought the lights were flickering. Have you ever done that? Have you ever blinked and thought the lights were blinking? I've done it. I've done it a bunch. Where I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
I think that sometimes
going crazy.
You blink so rapidly, and then it's like you kind of almost trick yourself into thinking, kind of.
It's a trick.
And then you're like, were the lights this? No, I don't think that they were. It's probably.
Well, they might have. But they might not have, and so you just kind of have to explain it like, oh, I must have just blinked.
I use my telekinetic abilities to fuck with the lights for a second.
Yeah.
That's how I explain it.
No, that's how I do it. I have
we're on the same page,
abilities,
that's good.
And I don't know how to control them yet because I'm a young power haver. Power haver young.
What? Speaking about, have you watched the latest Powers?
Not the last
I haven't.
episode. I gotta watch it.
I think I'm like 2 episodes behind. Because I got caught up in Daredevil and watched all that, and then
I've been watching Daredevil though.
I haven't been home. Are you getting more into that?
It's well done.
It is.
It is a well done show. I like it. It's very intriguing and dramatic, and a lot of morality in it that I think is really interesting. Good and bad, and I'm getting. I think I'm only like 5 or 6 episodes in. I've been watching about 2 episodes at a time, and the acting and the direction and just everything is well done. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's definitely not a typical superhero story, and there's nothing over the top other than his abilities are a little bit far-fetched, but whatever, that's fine.
Waste gets in your eyes.
It affects your ears, because that makes sense, because things that go in your eyes affect your ears.
And his nervous system and stuff.
And then no one else in the accident had any powers.
It's like Spider-Man getting bit by a spider, and then it alters all his genes. And
it was radioactive spider. It's like they didn't know how to explain anything, but they just come up with this word radioactive, like it was a new thing in like the 40s and stuff, and so they just that explains everything. Radioactivity.
Wasn't there a lot of fear of like atomic bombs and stuff back then? So they were probably like,
in the 30s, the late 30s, we drop nuclear bombs, which radioactive like crazy, and then Chernobyl, that's radioactive. So they just know that it's a very powerful, and it affects biology, and it has to do with biology and stuff, and that it can make mutations. That's some of it has to do with like why we have random mutations in our genetic material. It has to do with radioactive. Like whatever the fuck that is, right? We don't know what I don't even know. Am I talking about a thing? What am I even talking about? I'm talking about fucking the wind, I guess. People are always talking about like things that exist but that we can't see directly, like wind, you know what I mean? Like that's like the best example of something that we don't. Wind is air, which is just molecules of like nitrogen and oxygen running around, but we can't see them. We can never see them, but we see the effects, and that's how we know they exist. So we have a word for it. That's how we know it's a real thing, is because you and I both agree that when a flag waves in the wind, there's something doing that. It's just interesting. I was listening to people talk, and I was like, wind. Wind is a good example, because they were talking about like how it's hard to measure certain objective realities. Certain things are objectively true, scientifically true, but you can only measure them indirectly. You know what I mean? Which means that it's a little bit tenuous as far as being real, because things that are real we tend to be able to observe directly. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
no, it makes sense. I mean,
but
wind, you can't see it, so you can't observe it technically,
and it's hard to, other than I don't even know how you would, like, if you have, space, there's air in it, how do you tell? Other than the effects that it has, right? Like sound can pass through it and light can pass through it and stuff. But if you have a vacuum, it doesn't look different. You can't tell if it's a vacuum or if, yeah.
Speaking of space, like while watching the new Star Wars movies, like shit blows up in space and you can hear you can hear the explosions. Then like there's fires burning, and then you can hear the spaceships as they're cruising by. And I'm like, there is no sound in space.
Yeah, it's illogical.
The explosion would be for like a brief second, and there's no oxygen.
Only if you were on the inside of the ship. On the inside of the ship, you would have oxygen for it to travel through. But any observer on the outside of the ship there'd be no sound to possibly get to them. Maybe what they're doing is they're representing the inference of sound that an observer would make, filling in the gap of sound. Because a lot of times we do that in reality is we have a gap in knowledge, so we fill it. So they're just like, we'll just do that for you. It's fun. It's fun to have sounds.
I think that it's just something they didn't think about back then.
No,
I mean,
they didn't care.
Yeah, it just made sense. All fun and
every explosion in film does.
As I was watching it, I was just like thinking of all these like scientific things I'm watching, and I'm like, how is this happening? How is this possible? It's like
it's not happening.
And then Vanessa was saying something, and I was like, it was a galaxy in a far away galaxy in a long, long time ago. That's why it's happening.
It's not a different universe with different physical laws.
No, it was for...
it would have to be in an alternate universe, not our
She was talking about like their scientific advancements, how like...
they can just make sound.
They could do one thing, but they like couldn't do something else.
But they can't do teleportation, black holes. They can't do any of the stuff that we actually know could exist, or at least have theories about and stuff.
But I don't remember.
It's just not a scientific show. It's fucking Lord of the Rings in space. There's nothing real about it.
It's fucking awesome.
No, it's well done. But there's a whole YouTube like dedicated to, and it's just called a series, and it's just called Sound in Space, and they do a whole like series. I didn't watch any of them because I was like, that's fucking stupid.
Is it just silence for every video?
It's just the video. Yeah, this is what it'd be like. No, I don't know what they talk about, but I was just that's a big thing in Star Wars is that it's unrealistic as far as that goes.
I think almost any space stuff until like recently, because even like Star Trek, they always had sounds and space and explosions. Even in the newer movies, that they still had all that stuff. Yeah,
because I know Star Trek was known for its more realistic.
I think it's more realistic than Star Wars, like for sure. But
yeah.
They still have like those moments where like that wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
that's
I don't know. I don't watch Star Wars that much either, or Star Trek, I guess.
I was never the biggest
movies,
Star Trek fan,
but not the show as much.
Yeah, I watched all the movies growing up. The new movies are
Benedict Cumberbatch.
And I went back actually because Netflix put on like the whole original Star Trek series, and I started watching it. I got through like most of the first season. It's just not a show that you can. I mean, unless you're like a diehard fan, it's tough to just sit there and watch because it's not like a particular. Like most of the episodes aren't particularly exciting. It was all these just like, oh, what's a weird story we could come up with that we can just explain away because it's on a different planet or it's whatever. So, but they have some interesting stuff in that show. Like even stuff that's really creative by today's standards when you feel like you've seen it all because it's all been done so many times. So
interesting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
just a little.
What you watched the show? Just the original show
with like William Shatner and everybody from like the 60s, right? Yeah, I think it was like the late 60s.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I could look it up.
70s, something like that. I don't know. My dad was really into Star Trek when he was a kid, or when he was a teenager, or whatever. Which would have been around the 70s.
That would have been a fun show to write for, just because you kind of could just do whatever you wanted. Yeah, they like you could just come up with whatever and just explain it away because you're in space.
I was listening to Stefan Molyneux talk about Leonard Nimoy dying and how Star Trek in general was a interesting cultural phenomenon because it involved some interesting social ideas, like the idea that everyone on Earth got together and was like one world community, and they were so far advanced that they could create ships and starships, and they all got along well enough, and the economy was good enough that they could start to go into the stars. And that was kind of a new concept because of all the conflict going on in the world at that time, that the idea of the whole world getting together, and not fighting, because you can't accomplish that kind of world, interstellar, space travel without some cooperation among countries, you know, because it would take a ton of fucking resources, like ridiculous. So you'd have to deal with like money issues, and so I don't even think they talk about money in Star Trek. It's like all just resource based or something.
When things like that, if it's not the focal point of the story, that you can glaze right over it. It doesn't matter. So,
and they also, you know, in the show, they're, you know, blacks, whites, Asians, aliens, everybody getting along, and kind of working together. So that was kind of new, you know, for media in the time as well.
That's how I learned not to be a racist when I was a kid.
That's how you learned to not be a racist?
to not be a racist.
Yeah. You're like, I feel racist, but if only there was a reason.
But like in Star Trek, all these people are getting along, and they're all from different places and planets.
Has a massive forehead with fucking mountains on it. Worf.
That it's funny when you like. This was another observation I made while I was watching Star Wars. Is that all these planets? Like, you see such a small part of them, and it just feels like the planets themselves are small. Like, an Empire...
it's a fucking set.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was, like, less of planets and more of an excuse to just have all these different, like, setups and, like, backgrounds.
Just to have an art project.
Yeah. Because I was... when I was watching Empire Strikes Back, and Luke goes to the Dagobah system to meet up with Yoda so that he can start his training, he crash lands on Dagobah, and just somehow... fucking magically just happens to crash land right by where Yoda is on this whole fucking planet. And then that happens through the whole movie series. They always happen to just, I'm sure in some instances they had like a scanner or they had coordinates for where they were going. But then there are instances like that where he definitely was just going to a planet because he was told to go to a planet, not anywhere in specific.
And he crashes in the pond right next to where he
and then he climbs out of the pond, sets up a little camp, and then Yoda just shows up right there, the one guy he's looking for on this giant planet.
Well, maybe Yoda has like 100 different like houses.
He just
lives all over the place, just running back and forth, like, you know, real estate I have.
And like, you understand from a story standpoint that he couldn't land and then spend the next 50 minutes of the movie searching the, you know, Dagobah for this little guy, so they just had to make it work like that.
Well, that's every movie, every story.
I know, and that's it's just why you can't watch
non-realistic
anything like that with like to apply like realistic things to it, because then you're just like annoyed the whole time.
Right. That's like nobody ever goes to the bathroom or farts in movies, but everyone, you know, it's just they just cut out the stuff that doesn't really matter. But that's storytelling.
And that's stuff that you have to learn when you write stories too. That was like the hardest lesson I had to learn was what doesn't really matter. Because in your mind you're like, oh, I need to like detail this as much as I can and like really get in depth, and then you realize that like 75% of that shit does not matter at all. Like if it's not progressing the story you're telling, that it's just useless.
But that's also why writing something like a crime drama or a mystery is really difficult, because if you put it in the story, as a viewer, knowing how stories work, I know that it's important, so I'm paying attention to every little stupid detail in a mystery.